I see every time he comes to the program, the Ross Mortgage brand is being embroidered on nicer athleisure wear.
Yeah.
It's you've stepped up the
I'm all
brand.
about the athleisure.
Dude, you're looking at Mr. Athleisure wear here. That's what people want. That's what people wear now. The athleisure wear is what people wear. I will throw this to you.
Except for me.
You initially started. What were the initial brands that you chose for the Ross Mortgage embroidery?
I don't know.
You've upped the game on the gear.
There's some Nike. There was really like 3. There's Nike. What's the name of? There's like this other company that I can't think of the name of. And then now these Under Armour ones.
The Under Armour ones are fresh.
God.
You should do it on the Rhoback.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with the Rhoback is I'm not a problem. I'm not throwing shade on Rhoback. I love Rhoback. Anyone who watches this program knows I love Rhoback. A UVA birth brand. $125 a collared shirt.
Yeah.
$125 a collared shirt. A lot we're going to cover today. Smith is rocking and rolling right here. He's got a lot to offer from the election yesterday. The moderates prevailed. The progressives did not. I think that's
maybe
the storyline.
Maybe except for the city.
What?
Yeah, kind of in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, it was too expected. It was either between Bob or Natalie.
Yeah, and it wasn't even in the same universe.
No, it wasn't.
Not
so
even,
that was the one.
Not even in the same.
One that went. Maybe that was a toss-up to the progressives and Natalie. But we'll talk about it when the cameras go on. Judah Wickower is looking fresh as well. This is Real Talk Live on every social media platform. Hammer the like button. Share the show. Let's have a lot of fun. J Dubs, we can rock and roll when you are ready. I'm gonna check out that panel when you have a second. But we can do it after we start. Totally fine. I would imagine a little rainy. Ooh, I like it. He knows the time. Dylan's Rule, hello on Twitter. Welcome to the broadcast.
Dylan's Rule, I like that.
Dylan's Rule, a Twitter account, watches our shows, and we appreciate Dylan's Rule. Whether they are a man or a woman, we do not know. You're watching that count in there, J-Dubs?
I'm not familiar. What is Dylan's Rule?
It's a Twitter account.
Gotcha.
That follows the show fairly closely.
It's also a state thing.
Yeah, it's a play on the fact that the city of Charlottesville is being held by the Short and Curlies by Richmond.
Correct.
Wouldn't you say that's what that is?
Well, it's all the localities are held by the... What did we say? I've got a cute little...
Good Wednesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith, a show I get to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with friends and brothers and sisters from different mothers. Today's show undoubtedly epitomizes that. Scotty Moe is in the house of Ross Mortgage. If you need a guy to get you to the closing table, finance deals, we're talking investment properties, we're talking refis, we're talking about just financing the home of your dreams. The first-time home that you may purchase. It's Scott Morse and Ross Mortgage. The dude moves mountains. Another guy who moves mountains is the distinguished gentleman. He still looks sun-kissed in bronze from his couple weeks in the Caribbean. He is back here in Charlottesville, and it is 65 degrees rainy, and there's not an ounce of sunshine in sight.
But
I'm sure he's not nostalgic of St. Martin, but he's still rocking his tan. He holds it very well. Judah Wickower, as always, keeping us on air and looking sharp and looking fresh. Thank you, J-Dubs. Studio camera, and then let's welcome the boys to the show. My friends, ¿Qué pasa? How are you?
¿Qué pasa, amigo?
I'm not complaining about the rain.
Me either, dude.
I'm telling you, like, my grass, like, we were going 1940s Dust Bowl. Like, I'm looking out across it, and literally, like, it's like reverse rain. Like, I could see dust floating up from the ground. It was, we needed it. We needed it bad.
So the farmette, when you go farmette or farms, the sprinkler systems are difficult because of the size of the land. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm install a sprinkler system. Like, I mean, I like my grass. I put a lot of work into it, but I do have multiple water heads throughout the property, like at the barns and at the shop and stuff like that. So that exists. There's water pushed out throughout the property, but sprinkler system's probably a little too fancy for an old redneck like me.
I knew that was coming. I knew that.
Talk to one that goes like this.
Yeah, well, I get one of those. I get doubles
and
as
you jump through them,
for the kids to play with.
Jumping through them to make sure you don't land on them because it cuts your feet. Actually, we were talking, Yvonne.
I love it.
Yvonne, if you don't mind tagging Yvonne.
Okay, I will.
Yvonne and I were talking about you yesterday. We haven't talked about chickens in a long time. And so she calls me up yesterday because, as everybody knows, Scott Morris helped Yvonne and Houston, my daughter and son-in-law, make some magic happen in Richmond. I don't think I publicly thanked you for that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we know it was difficult. We put a square peg in a round hole, and thank you very much for making that happen. But I got a phone call yesterday going, hold it, I can't have chickens in my house now because she read something.
In your house?
In the yard,
okay,
in the backyard,
okay,
in the backyard,
okay.
right? Richmond doesn't allow chickens. I said, let me look into that. So it turns out that they do. They allow chickens. In 2020, they said you can have chickens.
Oh, so
There's rules
she's
and
gonna do that?
regulations.
Probably no roosters. That's typically like a pretty.
That's the boy chickens, right?
Yeah.
That's
like
the point.
big rule.
I don't know. What do I know about
They're not
chickens?
giving
I'm
you
from
any
Brooklyn.
eggs. They just
all
your
I
neighbors
think I know
at 5
about
a.m.
chickens is they make really good chicken cutlet parmesan. That's really all I know.
God, former
chicken.
Congressman Denver Riggleman watching
Hey,
the broadcast.
Denver, how are you today?
We love you. I will return the text. I sincerely promise. All right, a lot we want to cover. Election is over. Who wants to start? Why don't we go distinguished gentlemen and then to Scotty Moe here. Anywhere you want to go.
Well, I think we'll start with the city because we're starting from the center and working our way out. And I think at the end of the day, it really wasn't that much of a surprise. I did some quick math on it. Natalie got, of the total votes cast, so we don't know exactly number of voters, but the total votes cast, she came in with 26%. Bob Fenwick came in with 10%. Payne was 25. Snook was 23. So Natalie took the first spot at 26. Number 2 was Payne. Number 3 is Snook. Actually, Yon on the way in called me and said, so who do you think is going to be mayor next year? January 1, who's going to get it? And I think if I was a bet man, I think they'd probably stick with Lloyd. That kind of makes sense.
I don't know.
But personally, I love to see Juan Diego. I love him. He's a brother from another mother. I love him dearly. I think Juan Diego would make a really good mayor, but I just don't know if his work life will allow him to eat that up.
Who's the last back-to-back mayor in city of Charlottesville? Who can answer that question?
That I
Vanessa
don't-
Parkhill, Neil Williamson,
That I don't-
Bill
I don't know.
McChesney. Anyone help us on that? Who is the last back-to-back two-term consecutive mayor in Charlottesville city history? I literally do not know that answer. I'm curious. I would not be surprised if it was a Pinkston or Wade either. Now, here's the thing. Pinkston, day job, grinding,
That's
UVA
right.
project manager.
Yeah.
Juan Diego Wade, day job,
Yeah.
grinding. Natalie Oshrin probably has the most difficult work schedule of any
I
of the
would- I
five
would agree-
counselors.
I would agree with
She
that.
has to drive to Pippin Hill,
Yeah.
which is not a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Absolutely.
We're talking North Garden,
But
and
she
she's
gets to
working
eat
every
lunch
weekend.
at Dr. Ho's, like if she's not having it at the Vineyard. So I mean, win-win for her.
She's could eat the fat and sassy at Dr. Ho's. Who does not love that? Have you had it?
It's like my favorite place that I never get to go to.
Yeah, there you. Well, you live on the other side of it.
The world.
Yeah. How long
the
would it
world?
take from Culpeper to North Garden? Is that an
it's
hour?
Straight 29. It's probably an hour and.
Yeah, but you got the corporate jet. Why don't you just fly in and go ahead and go?
Mr. Ross
I'm
lets you
more-
use the corporate jet.
I'm more likely to be like.
It's about this big. It's a Legos thing, and you got to turn it.
I'm more
the thing.
likely to be the guy who like builds the helicopter in his yard and like crashes
Oh, yeah.
it into North
Yeah,
Garden, like
yeah.
trying to get some pizza.
There's a lot of truth in that statement. A lot of truth. Look, so I think from a housing perspective, right? I think we're on track. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure here in the next couple of months, the zoning rewrite's going to probably happen. And then we found out on Friday, we were talking to Lloyd and Bob Fenwick. It seems like they're going to take a ratchet approach in it, and the city council controls the ratchet, which then Natalie will be part of that process next year. So I think it's not too much of a surprise. I mean, if it went Fenwick, Natalie, and Cooper, then we'd be probably having a different conversation.
Oh, a completely different conversation. Here's the surprise of the city council vote. Okay, here's the surprise, ladies and gentlemen. The surprise was Natalie Oshrin had the most votes.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a surprise, it's Natalie garnered the most votes of everyone. We're talking
4,943.
We're talking the incumbents, Michael Pate and Lloyd Snook. She beat them from
Yeah.
a vote count standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone is surprised that Natalie won a spot. Her number one challenger, we thought, was Bob Fenwick. The voters disagreed.
Very much so.
I think one thing that we should certainly highlight with this election is the neighborhood associations in the city of Charlottesville. They did not utilize their communication channels and their organizational methods to rally around Bob Fenwick, who literally ran on a platform of slowing up zoning. So now the neighborhood associations get what's coming to them in the city of Charlottesville.
But just a shout out to Natalie, because I haven't had the opportunity to speak to her personally, but I was at the event that Neil and Sean did at the Hillsdale Center, and very well prepared, had her notes, spoke well. I think she mentioned she doesn't like public speaking, but she's really good at it.
Fantastic.
And very well-oiled political machine. So I agree with you. I would have kind of seen thinking Snook and Payne would have been pretty close, 1 and 2, and then Natalie on 3. So, the question is what does that tell you, right? Percentage-wise, it's not that far off. It's 25 to 26, right? Mike's at 25. And Natalie's at 26%, and Nook's at 23% of the total votes. I think, beginning of January, how that dynamic, who was I talking to on the way in? I was talking to, probably doesn't want me to mention his name, so I'll leave it alone for the moment. This is a really great city council for Natalie to get on for her first experience, right? You've pretty much got a bunch of pros there up at the table, and she's going to be able to contribute and add to the process and add to the discussion pretty quickly. I think, let's say, the previous city council would have been very difficult for her to get anything accomplished.
To throw a newbie into the previous city council, we're talking the Nakia Walker era, would have been like throwing a high school baseball player into the major leagues.
Yeah. So I think
100% agree with that.
I think Lloyd and Michael and Juan Diego and Brian are going to take under their wings and help her along, because this is the first time she's ever done this, so she's going to need a little coaching and a little mentoring through it. So
John Blair, welcome to the
see.
Show is lighting up. If you have questions, put them in the feed. Bruno Moon says, was it Dave Norris, the last back-to-back mayor? No. In fact, Neil Williamson just shared a link of previous mayors in Charlottesville, and we got to get some sizzle reel content here for Scotty Moe. So I'm about to ask you in a matter of moments what's on your mind with all this, so you can percolate some ideas. I'm giving you some time here. This is a broadcaster's trick to make everyone look like a superstar on set. The last back-to-back, you're always hitting grand slams over here.
Don't worry, I'm sitting here sweating this Fed speak right now and watching the market tank for as far as rates go.
Jay Powell is literally on television in our studio right now.
Like 5
we should
minutes.
shut that
off.
That.
Neil Williamson shared a link with Charlottesville mayors. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm literally, and Neil, if I'm reading this wrong, jump in here. There has not been, I don't think there's been a back-to-back mayor in Charlottesville, Virginia history. Ladies and gentlemen, do you hear that? There has not been a back-to-back mayor, literally, in Charlottesville, Virginia history. Jim Hingley, if you're watching the program. John Blair, you guys are Charlottesville politicos and historians. Neil Williamson, jump in here. I am not seeing a back-to-back mayor in the history of our fair and fine city. That's a hell of a trivia question. A hell of a trivia. Judah, I will DM you this link. If you can peruse this, analyzing these links live on air is a challenging endeavor. I'm talking about back-to-back.
And then the follow-up question.
Back-to-back. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
4 years.
Yeah.
So there's a 2-year election. I just can't remember where Lloyd and Juan Diego are. Are they in the end of their first year, end of their second year? That I can't remember.
I believe second. At the end of this year.
That's why I'm thinking November will be very interesting, and Natalie will have an opportunity to participate in that. She may throw a hat in the ring and want to be mayor. Who knows?
Who knows? She's the only female on there.
That's for sure.
Only female on there. Scotty Moe, J-Dubs, mark this time. Scott Morris, Ross Mortgage. Oh, let's let out. We're good. If you could let Mr. Robin, he's got something for us that helps us pay the bills, that's why we're opening the door. Scott Morris, the show is on you for anything you want to talk about, my friend.
So, if you're somebody out there who is focused on purchasing a home, one of the main things that you need to take right now is getting in and building some equity is the biggest priority. The ability to start the process is greater than burning money in rent. And no matter what the rate is today, you're going to be able to refinance in the future. That is something that's going to happen. We're watching this Fed speak today, and the messaging has gone from pause to skip to meeting by meeting we'll assess, but we don't think we've done enough to address inflation. I personally don't believe that the Fed has 2 rate hikes in them. I think there's one that's coming, and I think from that point on we're going to see some long-term improvement. That's my take. If you're somebody out there who's a real estate professional, you're going to see a lot more video content from me. You're going to see a lot more text. You're going to see a lot more emails you're receiving. It's going to be a lot more, who can we help, how can we help them, and show you what's going to put everybody in the best position to succeed.
That was fantastic. Fantastic sizzle reel. I saw Scotty Moe, a miniature Scotty Moe in a reel yesterday.
Not just a miniature Scotty Moe in real life, but a miniature Scotty Moe on
in
your
the
phone.
reel. I saw
That's right.
miniature Scotty Moe really making things approachable and digestible. I was impressed. I think Tova Payne may have had something to do with that reel content and the creation over there. Did she help with that?
Well, a little bit. Cecily Williamson does the bulk.
Some of the content? Okay, they did a great job.
You're I'll shoot it, and
I saw you eating Popeye's chicken.
Tova critiques the let's talk about something a little spicy. She's, so.
What did Tova say to you about eating Popeye's chicken?
There was a lot of eye rolls involved.
I know, Tova. I hope you're watching right now. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was legitimately awesome. I have to correct myself. I'm literally trying to read this live on air. There has been back-to-back mayors in Charlottesville, Virginia history. And according to this link, Nakia Walker had 2 terms, two-year terms back-to-back. So I stand corrected. I am correcting myself. Nakia Walker.
What years were those?
She was January 2nd, 2018 to January 5th, 2022. And I legitimately saw her on the public access channel politicking for the second term. Heather Hill wanted it, and then Nakia said, nah, this is mine, and she got it. So she got back-to-back mayor. So I'm correcting myself right there. Make sure you mark that sizzle reel content for Scotty Moe. It's damn good. Arguably the most infamous guy in America right now. Who's the most infamous man in America besides Jay Powell? Seriously. I mean, is it Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving? Is Jerome Powell in the same sentence as Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving?
I mean, I'm not going to get into...
You're not throwing shade to the Fed chair?
Well, no. I'll throw a little... Powell...
But who? Most of them are. Does anybody remember the name Greenspan?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, maybe I'm dating myself a little bit, but Feds are chairmen are closely watched for this very reason that we're having this conversation. You think about it, it's kind of a scary little thought. That this one person or this organization has wields that much influence or power.
A dozen people can put us in a recession.
Well, and
that's what it is.
At the same time, you also have to, they're scorned, but people, look at Vlocker as a hero, and he,
Volker.
Yeah,
Volker.
Not in real time, they did not.
Not in real time, I'm sure they did not.
No.
But
I remember those days.
Yeah.
No.
In real time, I think you were given the old, you know what.
Yeah, and Greenspan had the same thing. So everybody kind of has their own stuff. This is our new reality at the moment. And what we're watching. But you and I talked yesterday. Are you still feeling strong that at the end of the year we're going to drop a
yes,
little bit?
I still feel that fourth quarter and going into first quarter of next year, that's when the shift happens, and I think that if they keep going, there's a reason that they haven't. There's a reason that commercial real estate is brought up by the Fed chair, not Scott Morse.
Yeah.
There's a reason that he talks about our fear for regional banks with these increases. There's a reason that projections for the fourth quarter, so none of these things happen. It's like in my opinion, we're there. We're starting to get there. We're in Europe. We're seeing some very sticky CPI. We've got jobless claims that are going to come in again higher next week, higher so than what we've been we've seen in the past. We're getting there. We just ain't there yet. And I stand behind everything. I think I'm strong in my predictions.
I like it. How about the prediction on, maybe you've offered this, that's on the feed. How many more hikes this year?
I think they're
You're
talking
saying one.
about potentially 2. I think they got 1 in them.
There you go. There you go. Keith Smith.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was in Richmond yesterday having a security system put in Yvonne's house and Houston's house over there.
You're a fantastic father.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that.
Thank you. And
You've gone above and beyond.
well,
And I know you do this for all your clients.
I would do for any client. Well, maybe not the security thing because I will have access to their house on that app and all that stuff, which may be a really bad idea on their part.
Did you use Nest or Ring?
No, it's a company.
Oh, got it.
It's a company, and we said I don't want to give too many.
Yeah.
details. Right.
Here's the passcode 673.
My address is.
It's all over the internet.
It's all over the internet.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who gives? Whatever. But it was interesting. So I was thinking of you because the guy or the person. I'm from Brooklyn, so it's always a guy, right? Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
I got a
what it's-
guy.
Yeah, I got a guy, right? So the guy's putting it in and and we're going through the doors and the windows and yada yada yada. And he goes, "Man, I wish I could buy a house." I went, "Oh," ears perked up, and I said, "Well, let's talk." And he was like, "Oh, I can't. The price is going up. I can't get this. His rent's going up." The same exact story we hear over and over and over again. And I said, "So let's sit down." And literally, I made him sit down and had a conversation with him. And he's going to turn into a client
That's awesome.
in Richmond because after our conversation with him, which I'll connect you with him, Scott. His rent was going up 20%.
Well, I wish everyone who
And
I had conversations with in summer of 2020 who were telling me that no, things are just crazy right now.
But nobody explained it to him the way we do it here on the show, the way you do it one-on-one. Nobody actually took the time, held his hand, and said, "Look, this is going to be okay. You got to get in the game, right? Even if it's a townhome that you don't love, but I can tell you it's going to increase in value. You're going to build equity. You're going to, you can potentially refi if the interest rates drop. But you got to get in the game. If you're sitting here paying it, all you're doing is paying this dude's mortgage, right, or whatever you're doing." And anyway, so I was thinking of you. It was even the security guy putting in the thing is talking about housing.
Yeah, you're worried about 7% interest rate when you're paying 100%. I think maybe you've got the
100% that compounds every year at a 10% clip.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
If your landlord's not a jerk. Well,
If
not
you're
a
lucky.
jerk. Capitalistic is a better word.
Yeah.
Well, if your landlord is smart, like some at this table here.
Well,
that
small
plans-
independent landlords, you'll find you're more likely to have no rate increases with a tenant that takes care of the property, that keeps everything clean, because they don't want you to go anywhere. They're happy. They want you there. That's a symbiotic relationship that's good for everybody. Now, if you're somebody who isn't taking care of the property and you don't do, and there's
Don't pay your rent on time?
Don't pay your rent on time.
Yeah.
Those are the people where you're going to see increases because they don't care if they get rid of you because they
Exactly.
want somebody in there who's going to do the first thing.
100%.
So I've got
100%.
a half a dozen renters that we're having conversations with, trying to, help educate them, and their rents are going up because their landlords are like one-offs or two-offs, right? They only have 1 or 2 units. They've never put money aside for, oops, the HVAC system just went out, and they're putting a $12,000 system, and they're putting it back on the tenant.
Well, how about this?
In rent.
Try getting an HVAC system installed.
I got a guy.
3 weeks.
I got a guy.
3 weeks to do that.
You should be asking people on this side of the table.
Will your guy close down Market Street, bring a crane and lift it on top of a three-story mixed-use building?
Yeah.
Probably not. There's
one-
very few that do that in this
And
town.
you're probably talking to the same guy that I'm.
I know the 2 firms that do it. They're
Yeah.
3 weeks out.
Yeah.
They literally have to close 3 parking
Yeah.
spaces
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get one of those big-ass cranes to
Yeah.
put it on the roof.
Drop a unit on the
Yeah,
roof.
drop a unit on the roof. That's the problem. The HVAC units are around, but that's the problem.
Getting a crane, it's really hard.
Yeah. And
Most residential homeowners don't have that problem. So I was, when
Have
I
you-
was talking
have-
about I got a guy.
Just a little side
That's
note.
totally right.
I used to let Scott messing around with the skid steer.
Yeah.
I
Keith
kept
would
him. I kept him away from the crane.
In this situation previously, Scott would say, "Hey, Scott, can you go pick up the crane? I got a little thing I need you to take care of."
Can you tell the three of us enjoy each other's company on Real Talk with Keith Smith? These
And then
guys.
then I'd call my buddy Tom, who I'm having lunch with today, and Tom and I would go get the crane. We'd get lost on the way there. We'd get lost on the way to the job.
So on crane day, so every build has a crane day on it, I would make sure they stayed home.
Yeah.
That's hey guys, why don't you take off? I got it.
Oh, this is so good. So, Keith, throw this to you here. State level. What surprised you at the state level, my friend? You had 2 delegate races. Maybe we start with Squire and Laufer. Squire and Laufer had some mudslinging, my friend.
They had some lead swinging, but the results are not surprising to me on it. I was a little bit surprised
That she dominated with that delta?
Yeah, that was. I'm pulling up the numbers here real quick. I felt that was a little on the strong side. Hold on a
I
second.
mean, it was not even close. I can call them up for you.
Yeah,
if you want.
would you do that for me?
Yeah, so here are the numbers in HD 55, Almore Louisa Fluvanna, HD 55. Laufer had 8,118 votes, 69.6% of voter turnout. Kellen Squire, the emergency room nurse, 3,536 votes, 30% of the voter turnout. I saw something on Twitter, people, and it really put things in perspective. And Laufer and Squire are a microcosm of this. People remember the first mudslinging first,
Yeah.
and not the truth statement second. And it's
Oh, that's-
unfortunate.
That's
politics.
that's the game, baby.
That's the game.
Once somebody's convinced of the lie, you'll never convince them of the truth.
There it is. Laufer convinced the people of the lie, and Squire could never change the mindset toward the truth. That's exactly what it was. Laufer beat this
I believe
dude.
that's called politics.
I think that's called politics. 70% to
not
30%.
pretty. Not pretty.
This was utter domination here.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, the question is there any? Is this an open contest? Is this a shoo-in? Is there going to be anybody running against?
Steve Harvey
That's right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. That's
announced here, and he's coming on the show tomorrow.
right. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Your boy Jesse Rutherford.
Yeah. Calling. I gotta let Jesse know.
Hold on.
You gotta do it
Hey,
live.
Jesse.
Live on a show.
Hey, I'm good. I just want to let you know I got you on speakerphone next to the microphone, and we are live on air right now.
So the
Well, I guess our predictions were a little off.
Our predictions were a little off. You
off.
literally are live on air. I'm sitting across from the distinguished gentleman, Keith Smith. This is Jesse Rutherford, Nelson County Board of Supervisor right here.
How far off was he?
Keith wants to know how you doing, Jesse.
I'm doing lovely. I'm just having a great morning watching the rain fall and nothing happening.
Okay, before I hang up with you, give us a hot take and a sizzle reel from last night's election. Jesse, this is literally live on air right now.
Sizzle reel.
So I think Virginia just said we want a more stable situation. There was a lot of moderates who carried the day. There's a lot of what you would probably consider further right and further left Republicans and Democrats lose across the state. I think we're headed back to like a 2007 Virginia where, hey, let's go with something more familiar. I think that's what I just heard this election cycle.
More down the middle.
I think you're right. Yeah, moderate. I think he's totally
more
right.
down the middle.
Mr. Rutherford, I'll hit you up after the show, and we'll get you back on the program. Love you, man. Take care. Jesse Rutherford, Nelson County Board
At
of
least on
Supervisors.
Real Talk with Keith Smith, that's probably a first.
Yeah, on Real Talk it is. We've done it many times on LFC.
That's a first. So the question is the 54th,
Ooh.
right?
Scotty Moe needs to get in this. Katrina Carlson, Dave Norris, Bellamy Brown. And it's important to emphasize, the folks that are running here, I mean,
They're
a lot
personal
of these
friends.
people are friends.
Yeah.
Like Bellamy and Dave are legitimately friends. I've had cold beers with Bellamy, cold beers with Dave, multiple times, legitimately. Carlson, not cold beers with Carlson.
But the question I've got, and so let's take the who out of it, right, for the moment. This is just a math thing, and I'll let Scott get in it because this is what's been running. Love Dave to death. Bellamy's a fellow Marine, love him to death. These are just wonderful, wonderful people. But I'm wondering if it was only 2 people in the race, would it turned out differently?
I got a take on that. Dave Norris is watching the program.
Yeah.
We love you, Dave Norris
Love
here.
Dave.
Scotty Moe, anywhere you want to go
I
on
sent a
this?
Facebook post out to both of them.
So I'm going to stay largely out of that the politics talk. I will say this, and this is more indicative of kind of what our region is like. So a friend of mine was contacted about running for a state delegate office, and the other day being the final day to register for this thing, and
It was the 20th, right?
yeah, and they were so excited to have the conversation with somebody who might possibly do it, and he's like, I probably qualified for this, but you pushing me to do this so eagerly tells me you don't have anybody else in this area. And on
It's like
top
your
of
friend
that,
does deals for a
why
living.
would I do this?
So I'm going to add a little bit to that. So we'll leave the politics out of it, the who out of it. But I get asked all the time to run again. I ran for Board of Supervisors in your home county, and I lost. So, I sent a little Facebook post to Dave and Bellamy, hang in there, stay in the game, stay in the arena, because it matters. Their voices matter. It matters tremendously, and it makes a difference. But I get asked all the time, and usually when I get into these conversations and somebody's asking me, I know that person who's asking me could run just as well as I can, and it always ends up to, well, hold a timeout. So let me hear this straight. You're telling me your time is worth more than my time. So you want me to carve out all this time to go ahead and do this, but you're not willing to do it. So it's a hard ask. I'm the only guy sitting here that has ran for office and lost, so I know what these guys feel like. But Dave, Bellamy, stay in the game, stay involved. I know they will, because their voices matter.
I'll take it a step further.
Go ahead.
Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, Scottsville District. Yours truly. John Lowry watches this program, Chairman, Albemarle County GOP. Comes to me, handpicks me, says, I will not run a Republican candidate in the Scottsville District. I'm totally fine with you running as an independent. We will put the weight of the GOP behind your campaign, either vocally and visibly or behind the scenes. We will tell all the heavy hitters, kingmakers and rainmakers and donors to support you and nobody else. Just go ahead and do this. Legitimately, that's what was promised. There's no candidate running against Mike Pruitt in the Scottsville District. Legitimately was going to do this. Had the approval of my wife, literally. And then our second son, Zachary, born. Young man has not slept a single night in 7 months. Legitimately not slept through the night in 7 months. Yeah. What we thought was going to be a second child and a sleeping track record of our first one, who slept perfectly well, turned out to be, you take someone.
Bro, twins slept from 8 weeks forward, and Colton was in my bed last night at 3. Yeah, almost 3.
So
you don't sleep, especially when you're a stay-at-home mom? That's tough.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it at that.
The other thing I'll say is, so we got Jerome Powell speaking, we got some data coming out, flashing across, RV sales falling on their face. Wow, the disposable income across the United States that I said is gone and credit card debt is rising. That is a fact. FedEx shares fall on revenue disappointment. Well, the first thing that you see in a declining economy is FedEx leading the way with what's going on and what's being moved back and forth. I'm telling you, I'm going to hammer this home. The things that they are hoping that are happening, and that's why they don't have it in them for 2 raises. That's why the skip has gone to, we're going to be taking things meeting by meeting, but we're very far from our inflation target. They're saying the right things to try to keep certain things in check, but at the same time, the medicine is taking effect.
Chop that into sizzle reel content right there. That was damn good. Keith, thoughts? Matthew Schultz,
So
hello.
I want to go back to what
Schultz giving you props.
What you said and then end a little bit on what Scott was saying. I've said more than once
What up, Matty Schultz?
On this show, one of the hardest things in the world is to run for office and to be an elected official. It takes a ton of toll on your family, And so those who do it, my hats off to them. I know it just from a real personal level. Back onto what Scott was saying, it's interesting. I think Powell and everybody over there is a little bit befuddled that whatever they're doing with the thumb on the scale isn't really having the impact on housing it wants to. And I think that's what they're struggling
I don't
with.
think they're befuddled.
I don't think they're befuddled,
I think
yeah.
everybody knows, okay, we got a bunch of people who are trapped in 3% mortgages who can't afford to then move at 7, move at 5.
I think that's-
without making a lateral move. We've got a string of, we got student loan debt that's coming back into play. We got
Credit card debt.
deferred mortgages that are now turning into real life foreclosures in certain areas. And
But
if you're
small
somebody
amounts,
who has
though.
gotten in or on the verge of getting in trouble, if you're starting to see
yeah.
the writing on the wall, let's talk about how to solve that cash flow problem by using the equity that you have in the house while you're still making payments on time. Once you start not paying that's when the problem is harder to solve.
State of Virginia, 31 days, man. If you you're in 31 days, you've just lost control. And that's what
31
happened.
days, if the mortgage is due on the 1st, if you don't pay it within 31 days is what he's saying, you're,
State of Virginia,
in some-
you're going down that rabbit hole.
Elliot Harding, hello, welcome to the broadcast.
Most people, and to Scott's point, most people, you've got to raise your hand up and say, I'm in trouble. Scott has tons of solutions for you. What's the difference between 2008 and 2010? More than likely, you've got a substantial amount of equity in your house. You can borrow it. You've got a tremendous amount of credit card debt, right? They can use their home as, I don't want to use the word as a piggy bank, but they can use their home to kind of help reduce their credit card. Or if all of that doesn't work, you reach out to us and we'll go ahead and sell it for you, and you end up with a little bit of cash in your pocket and move on to the next stage of your life and property. But look, I was asked by Yvonne actually yesterday, how long do you think that this inventory level is going to stay as low as it is? And man, I was thinking a couple of years, but I mean, I think you and I had this conversation. You said 3 years, I said 10. I think we're somewhere in the middle.
You think the inventory levels are going to stay this meager for a decade?
I think so, yeah.
A decade?
I think so, yeah. It's going to be close, somewhere between 5 and 10.
How deep have we been into this inventory meagerness?
But let me tell you why I think that. It's because of the lack of homes that were built for a decade. We were so behind the 8 ball on that. We went from 2 million, we're just finally up to 1.6, 1.8 new units, somewhere along those lines being built, but there's 5 to 6 million units short, and we're not producing them enough. New construction isn't going to take us all out of this, but it's a stimulus.
Piece of the puzzle.
It's a piece of the puzzle. Thank you very much. And that piece is gone.
You think a decade of
He
inventory
does.
meagerness,
He
Scott?
does. He
How many years
disagrees.
are we
He
even
said
a year?
10, I say 3.
You say
says-
3? Are we
yeah.
a year into inventory meagerness, or are we starting inventory meagerness started Jan 1 of this year?
I think we've been in the inventory eagerness for quite some time, but that's just
When do
me.
you think this started, Scotty Mo?
We've been talking about how long
it
we've
in
been.
2019.
Okay, so you think 219 is the start?
Yeah.
And
So
I'm saying-
I think Scott's saying from today forward.
I'm saying from today forward. If
Okay.
we said 3 years from 2019,
Okay.
we are.
So
I
2019,
wanna
so we're 4 in is what
I
Scotty
wanna-
Mo is
I
saying.
wanna
Then you're
quanti-
saying another 3, Scott.
Yeah.
So he's saying we're 7.
So we're not that far off.
Well, and the other part of the equation is this: we may never catch up to where we need to be.
Right.
And especially when it comes to without, there'll be shift in demographics. You're going to have people, I don't like how, but here's the thing. The people who can afford to move out of California to Texas and what's the dude with the here, not there,
Oh, yeah, Chris Fairchild?
Right, Fairchild's
Yeah.
Post, which is language that originated from the California to Texas. The people who can move from New York to Florida and affordably do that, those aren't the people who are being punished by the inventory
No,
problem.
they're sitting on
it's
stats.
the people who can't afford to do it in
Yeah.
these local areas because
Right.
it's either the NIMBY's not in my backyard, the municipality can't support the growth based on current demographics for their schools and
infrastructure.
their infrastructure. The we already can't support the level of humans that. I mean, you can say that we got a slower birth rate and we need a greater amount of immigration. Like this thing can spider web into a million different conversations. But the bottom line is,
You know why that is? Do you remember why 2008, 2010 housing implosion? It infected everybody. It affected the world. Housing has its tentacles into everything. Your spider web
Absolutely.
into everything. It's just not widgets, right? They're all
the labor force. There's a
all
million
interconnected.
different whys on how this happened, but ultimately, we're never going to be able to build our way out of it, and we're
Agreed.
going to be short.
But it's a piece of the
rooftops
puzzle,
for
though.
humans for the foreseeable future, because there's too many reasons that we can't just wave a magic wand and put buildings in the ground.
So there's a way smarter. Well said, sir.
Yeah.
There's a way.
That was a good take. That could be number 3 right there, J-Dubs.
There's smarter
I know,
people.
but some of the I really do have some angry elf energy.
No.
I gotta be mindful of
I don't
this.
think it's angry elf.
Would you
I
like a
think-
hug?
I think you're just passionate, man.
I'd hug you. I'd hug you all the time. You know
I
that.
think you're just a passionate guy.
You know, it's hard. You sit here behind this microphone, and there's 3 of us talking, and there's a bunch of folks watching and listening. It's hard not to get passionate, right? Because we believe in what we believe in. So, you know, hats off to you. You know, passion is a beautiful thing. I would love to see if somebody's out there that can Google that is watching this. When was the last time in our country's history that we had this type of housing shortage? I'm talking about an inventory shortage.
Neil Williamson, you of anyone I can think of, you would know this.
And I think, and
he also highlights that he dug into the data. Katrina Carlson and her race against Dave Norris and Bellamy Brown, both watching the program. We're talking HD 54. She won Charlottesville City by 7 votes.
yeah, I was just
7
looking.
votes. She won Charlottesville City.
Does that trigger a recount? I mean, that 7 is a pretty close.
No.
number.
Well, that's just that portion of the district.
Gotcha,
That's just a
gotcha,
portion of
gotcha.
the district.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the last time it was like this was during World
Not here
War
to stir
II.
the pot. I'm just curious.
Yeah, totally get it. No hanging chance. No hanging
7
chance.
votes is
7.
It's 7 votes in the city of Charlottesville, but the district is against.
Yeah. I got it.
So when would be the last time
I think it was World War II. I think that was the last time prior to and during World War II, and then there was the big building boom, the Levittowns of the world, all that kind of great stuff happened right after the war. And then, but I think the last time, I may be wrong, but I think somebody who's way smarter than me can figure it out. So we have not seen an inventory crunch like this, I think, in many, many, many decades.
You know,
But
part
I
of
may
the
be wrong.
problem just typically falls back to the fact that we couldn't nationally create the energy to build homes without every far-right Republican calling it a socialist agenda, and then everybody on the far left crying about who wasn't getting the fair piece of the pie, so the money never gets dispersed the right way, and it would get tied up for 20 years just trying to execute at this point now.
Yeah, I think we're at this suppressed housing inventory for a substantial long period of time. Maybe not another 10 years from here going forward. I think we're going to be looking at a 10-year cycle, similar to the 10-year cycle that from 2009 and up into this point. I just really think it's going to take 10 years of increased inventory to get us back on track. And
The NASDAQ the tech-heavy NASDAQ right now is absolutely reeling with Jay Powell on every cable channel in the world right now.
Good. Those stocks shouldn't trade at 30x anyways.
I have a lot. I own a lot of Nvidia.
I'm going to buy you an elf hat.
Nvidia is my top position. Nvidia, AMD, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, all down. The Qs down. Meta down. Tech-heavy NASDAQ that is often leveraged and tied to Prime reeling right now. You see the Dow down marginally and the S&P 500 down marginally. Wow, you are literally bringing your family on air here, Keith.
Oh, really? My family's coming in.
Unbelievable. Hello, guys. This is live programming at its finest right there.
Finest. We had
Everyone's
a phone call.
favorite.
We had a phone call, and now we've got little.
Hello,
people
Harry.
coming up. Little Harry.
Harry Tyson, it's good to see you. Little Harry, good to
So
see you.
those who are watching, listening, my family's in from Connecticut. So, but I've just found the data that, what are we waiting for that?
Your family's here. Hello.
Come here. Deanna, come here.
All right. Hello. Pop Dad. What's up, Harry? Good to see you.
Hey, Harry, how you doing, buddy? You can go sit in that seat over there if you want.
Yeah, come on.
Grab a seat.
Go sit next to that. You can say hi. So finally, some intelligence on the
There
side.
you go.
How you doing today, sweetheart?
Good.
Huh? You good? Say hello to everybody. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi. My name is
Hello,
Vienna.
everyone.
Vienna, good morning.
And look what your mommy wrote on here. Your
Vienna,
mommy
tell
wrote me-
everyone your name.
Tell everybody your name. Say what's your name. Say your name. What's your name?
That's okay. You're
She's
adorable.
not shy.
You're so adorable.
Say your name. What's your name? Vienna Tyson.
Vienna.
She's not real Smith. They usually are.
Yeah, real Smith.
Usually can't get them
Yeah.
to stop talking. Yeah.
It's the Tyson in it. All right, give me a kiss. We have Pop Dad has to go to work. Give me a kiss. Okay.
Aw,
Goodbye.
that's so cute. That's so
Goodbye.
cute.
Go ahead. See you later.
That's so cute.
You want him?
That's so cute.
I gotta tell you, anybody out there that doesn't have one of these grandkids, this is like the best thing ever. I know the kids and the sleeping and all this stuff, but you can go ahead and kiss them. Pop Dad has to go to work, and you hand them off.
Our
and-
youngest child is 7 months old, and Harry has not slept in 7 months, legitimately. Has not slept through the night in 7 months. It's pretty tenuous at our casa right now. To say that we want grandchildren right now?
Yeah. I'm talking about from the grandparents' perspective.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a charm. I love it. They've been with us for a week, I think, or something like that. So it's been a lot of fun. They go ahead. It's great to wake up and have little people running around the house for about a week.
Scotty Moe, my friend, other KPIs or storylines that you've been following, that you're hearing from industry insiders, you're hearing from customers or clients, other options that we should be following closely?
Are we talking market related?
Anywhere you want to go.
I would keep an eye on anything that's anybody who's got the time to dip into kind of what's going on with the M2 money fund, like where those dollars are. That's something that is probably worth your exploring to give you an idea about how inflation happened and where we truly are with it. What's happening in regards to CPI, how that's affecting markets. That's what the Fed is looking at, but I think unemployment and the true slowing of the service economy, the softening of that side of the economy, is really where that's where the proof is at the moment. I think that's what we're really the effect that we're seeing that hasn't been recognized yet.
But are you really seeing that softening? We just had the conversation about a crane, right? And crane and waiting for 3 weeks.
No, that's a necessity. He's
Got
talking
it.
about, I've got a building that doesn't have air conditioning in it. That has to be replaced. That's not like, you know what? It wasn't cold enough, so we're bringing in a crane
Got
to
it.
do that. That's the
So
people who
that's
are
how
out
you
there.
delineate the difference between
Yeah,
the
yeah,
two?
yeah.
Got
I
it.
think that because I really think that that company's not 3 weeks out on that. I think that's typically
Well, there's just not enough
that's
people
your
wanting to
normal-
become crane operators,
That's
right?
your normal turn time.
I actually had-
You're well
I actually
qualified.
think he's
That
right.
goes back into 3 weeks on a crane on an AC on your roof. Sounds like a normal turn time.
Yeah, sure.
It's not
And
like
it's a
he's
lot of
like,
moving
hey,
parts.
I called them and they said they'd get back to me in 2 weeks to schedule in a month and a half from now. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces that go into that.
Yeah, the permitting, the crane, the
Now,
HVAC.
Your crane operator program, I know crane operators who make well into the six figures. And I mean,
I was just going to have this. I had this same exact conversation with a doctor, not my relatives, with a doctor, because we were just having this conversation, that a crane operator was actually making more money than him.
And work at will. And what I
That's
mean by that
exactly
is
right.
this:
That's exactly
they
right.
contract work to where they go to Miami. And they're on a job. You get that on those big jobs.
They drive, they fly. Yeah.
Where they're there for 6 weeks, and then from there they move. They're from California. Or they can get on with a company and do it regularly for a little less money and a little more regular lifestyle. But these people will make $200K plus.
Oh,
Dude, I got a buddy who's a tugboat captain in Virginia Beach.
Man, I should have been a tugboat
The
captain.
tugboat captain is clearing $300K.
Yeah, do some
Tugboat
fishing
captain.
on the side.
Dude works 3 days a week.
that's clearing.
He does 3 tens a week, and that's for his employer.
Yeah.
And then he does 3 tens a week.
Yeah, I get
Okay, and then he does side hustle where he's working for other operators
Yeah.
at whatever rate he charges. I would not be surprised if my tugboat captain in Virginia Beach, working 40 to 50 hours a week on a tugboat, is north of 600K.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, doing a tugboat.
But that he's never home, though.
He's pretty home, dude.
Oh, that's right. So he's doing around the bay. He's
Yeah.
He's pushing for the day.
He
He's
does
not,
3 tens, and then if he wants to, does the gravy extra shifts at whatever rate he charges. This dude's always at his kids' games.
Yeah, we're trying to get a tugboat license, though.
Oh no, tugboat
Well, that's what I'm
license.
saying.
That's his point.
These are your specialty labor trades that we were told for decades, don't go do that.
Go to college.
Go to college.
It was stigmatized.
Get a degree in something that you'll pay 6 figures to obtain to make $80,000 a year in earnings that you'll never repay the student debt on. And here we are.
There you go. Well said, Scotty Mo. That was legit right there. And I went to school with this guy, private school growing up.
In Williamsburg.
Yep. This guy went to college.
Yep.
And as he was coming out of college, exactly what he said, we all were like, "You going to tugboat school, dude? What are you talking about?" It was stigmatized and it was shade.
And who's laughing now?
This dude is living the dream.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to all the sporting events for his kids, is there every weekend, does not work on the weekends, can choose to work 3 10-hour shifts a week, that's it. Wife doesn't work. They got a second home, a beach home in the Outer Banks. Legit.
I've got friends who open plumbing businesses, same type of thing, and they got a fleet of trucks. Do exceptionally well for themselves, and aren't even fantastic businessmen, but we're smart enough, to understand
To answer the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, to show up, right? Just to show up.
They're smart enough to hire the right people.
And I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a negative way.
Oh, definitely not.
I mean that in you try to get in touch. When we talk about construction, there are some fantastic carpenters who from a business standpoint, don't answer the phone. They don't build the business aspect very well. But there's also people who put people in place to protect them from that, so that they can work and then build a business.
I taught a class at PVCC for several years. It was a certificate class. It was about that. The name was "Take It from a Truck to a Business" was what I titled it, and it's amazing. So you talk to these folks that come in that are carpenters, plumbers, electrician, and they want to create a business. And we were actually doing the part where you get your full labor rate, right? So if you pay Jerry $50, how much does it really cost you, and so forth and so on, on that end of it. So anyway, we're having this whole conversation. So I usually ask in the class, okay, what's your first 2 hires? And immediately the answer is, I need another electrician, I need another plumber, right? I need another this. No. It's a really good CPA and it's a really good attorney, right? That's the 2 things that you guys need, and it would blow their heads because their thinking was, well, I need more electricians, I need more plumbers. No, what you need is a really good business plan, a really good CPA. How is your corporate structure set up? How are you going to do this? How are you set up to exit this thing out? And all these different things. That was amazing. There was another story about that. Is I had a guy in the class, and you could tell he didn't fit in, and he was a commercial roofer out of Richmond, and he wasn't making any money. Anyway, there's a long story behind that, but it turned out that I helped them and it moved on. But that's exactly what these folks are doing.
But here's the problem. How do you get people in the trades when you don't have teachers to teach at the trade schools? K-Tech doesn't have teachers. K-Tech is legitimately saying to us, we don't have teachers to teach these kids.
K-Tech, J. Sargent Reynolds.
Or just go work for them as an intern and just like knock on the door and be like, dude, do you need some help? And intern, I don't know, but that's a clear problem, right? It's the same.
Because everybody's been told.
Everybody wants to be a social media influencer.
Everybody's been told this phone I hold in my hand is the solution to your problem.
I say this to be straightforward, and it's no easy task. There's one influencer in a 300,000 person market that has turned this into a career.
Sure.
Legitimately.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone else is doing it as a side hustle or says they are.
And that math doesn't work all that.
1 in 300,000.
Yeah, sure.
What are the odds of that? What's the odds of someone making it to the NBA? I would bet you it's more than 1 in 300,000.
I'm sure it is.
Someone should look that up. What do you think it is?
I don't know.
The odds of someone getting to the NBA? See if you can find that, J-Dubs. I bet you it's minuscule. What is 1 in 300,000? What is that percentage? I mean, he's the math genius. It's very, very low.
Yeah.
That's legitimately a fact right there.
But
Yeah.
if you went to welding school, plumbing school, and all that stuff, to make a decent living is not those odds.
No, and that's his point.
It's not those
That's
odds.
his point. But the issue we have is the housing issue. If we don't have enough houses, how do we get people into houses? If we don't have teachers for the K-Tech school, how do we get people in the trades?
Where do the carpenters come from?
So this rolls all the way around to this cerebral conversation I was having with Yvonne yesterday, because she's getting into the business, right? She's passing her license, her real estate license, and she's getting into the business. And her question to me was, well, Dad, what the hell are we going to sell? Right? That's a legitimate question. How are we going to help people if there's no inventory? And this is why, and I'm not as smart as everybody in this room by any stretch of the imagination. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Vienna's multiple times smarter than I am. But that's why I'm thinking this problem is not going away anytime soon. I think we're in a long-term, 5 or 10 years before it happens. It's also why you need a trusted advisor. We've got one sitting to my right here. We've got you sitting across from me to help you make these decisions and navigate it, because it's super complicated. It is not as easy as it used to be. 35 years ago, even though we didn't have all this technology, we had a book that you had to actually pick up from car once a week to figure out what the hell was on the market for sale. But at the moment, you need to have all this stuff to navigate it. I mean, out of all your transactions you do, there's always roadblocks, right?
Yeah, there's always something. So I was having a conversation with somebody about
It's how you deal with
203K loans and on a corporate side of like, look, let's make this a more fluid process through underwriting. Here's what we should be doing, and we're going to implement some of those changes at a corporate level. But also, I had a conversation with some borrowers who are moving to Pennsylvania, and they're like, what should we be looking at? And I was like, new construction, you got a timeline. Your kids need to be in school. If the house isn't already done, take it off your list, because the last thing you want to get is into a situation where the builder doesn't have a CO and they're supposed to do something and the county just hired a new guy, and you got to streamline your process by removing the possibilities of problems, because there's always going to be something in whatever the situation is. So how do we take out how do we lessen risk? What do we do to make things operate more smoothly? We've removed the possibility of problems, because ideally everything's always going to work the best way. What do I tell realtors when I start working with them? Everybody who does my job is the best who's ever done it until there's a problem. And that goes into every single transaction. That goes into everything is a little different. Each real estate transaction is its own little fingerprint, because the borrowers may have different ways that they receive their income. The house may have a different problem than the one right next to it. Everything is unique, and it's how do we lessen the risk in order to make the most success.
So I want to add to that and ask a question. 100% right? And how do we work our way through this? Is through communication, right? We learned before the show, 21% of people actually open up emails, right? 98% of the people actually open up text, and 95% of that 98% actually respond to it in 3 minutes. So how you communicate and how you do that. I do want to talk, because I was asked this question, maybe you can help me out. And it's maybe somewhat rhetorical. So we could talk about it now because it's closed. The project, the home that we did for the kids in Richmond, there was a $70,000 delta between appraisal number 1 and appraisal number 2, which is ultimate went in. So it went from, there was a $70,000 delta. In Houston, my client was asking me, how the hell did it get that way? How did that happen? Can you share any thoughts on that? Because I hear this all the time, because we have to constantly redo this and change it.
And before we do, one of your associates who's come on this program, DJ Moberly, is watching. We should give his company some props.
DJ Moberly, Inspired Home Building in the Culpeper, Spotsy, Rappahannock area. Fantastic custom homes. It is a hybrid custom model, I believe, is the language that they like to use, and they take a look at what they have online. Get in touch with them. If you have land already and you have a plan, these are your people, and just not only amazing humans, but they put together a fantastic project.
Do you know how many phone calls I get? Can I buy a piece of land and find a builder to go ahead and build on it? That's a hard thing to come across, particularly in this marketplace. And that's a genius move to go ahead and do that hybrid. When they came on the show, they just rocked my world.
Awesome people.
Angela?
Angela.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, DJ has this comment on what you've been saying. It's a good comment. The trades experience requirements where someone has to get years of work in the field signed off by someone else who does not want to train their competition is a real problem.
Always, because what
Explain what he means by that.
So, all right. So, I run a framing crew. I have a select group of builders that I work with, and I rotate jobs all around. I work for DJ by contract, meaning he's going to put 30 homes in the ground. I'm going to go from project to project, framing these houses up. I've got to not only do the work myself, but then I've got to have a crew of people that come along with me. I'm going to have a cut man. I'm going to have somebody who lays out. I have a process that makes my business expedient and successful, and I'm going to train other people to do this. Well, I'm going to train these people at a low-end labor rate because they may not know what they're doing, and as they progress, I'm going to have guys that stick with me, but at the same time, I'm also going to be bringing in ambitious young men who want to go out and do this for themselves. So I'm going to be training someone who's then potentially going to, if I don't pay him enough, if there's ego to begin with him, and that's fine. That's what you get with the right level of ambition. These people are going to want to go out on their own and compete against me. So it's very difficult to train highly skilled labor personnel who likely are going to leave you and then become your competition. It's difficulty. That's a difficult part of the process on its face. How do you retain good? But that happens in this business. In what I do. That's why I tell a realtor who's trying to grow a team, if you're going to get a TC, you may make sure they do a transaction coordinator. Make sure that they don't want to be licensed. Make sure they want that role, because if there's somebody who has this dream, then you all of a sudden, once they've become licensed, they don't do good work for you because there's resentment there because they're busy doing all of your work. That's why they can't grow their business themselves. And this is, it happens over and over.
And what's the collateral damage of this? This is a timeless sizzle reel. Keep it going here. What's the collateral damage of this?
The collateral damage is if everybody thinks that they do the perfect job at hiring. I know people. Well, you think you do. So you either need to be able to figure out quickly and fail fast and fire them immediately, or you need to be able to put things in place to where you're able to give them a path for growth no matter what the business is, to where the resentment doesn't exist and then they are growing inside you. If your dream isn't big enough for them to fit those shoes, they're going to walk away from you.
So let's
That's
break
damn good,
this
Scott.
down to our normal transactions. Home inspectors now have to shadow with another home inspector to get their license for about 6 months. So that is clearly, they are training their competition. That's the reason why the home inspector pool is not growing on it. So if Jerry wants to be a home
Mike
inspector.
Abrams, a perfect example. Mike Abrams, you're watching the show. He used to own Moe's Barbecue with his wife, Ashley. Someone tagged Mike Abrams on this. We helped broker the sale of Moe's Barbecue. Mike and Ashley. Ashley is working in real estate as a realtor. Mike is getting into the home inspection business. The logo, brand identity we designed. Wasn't it Ironwood Home Inspection? Is that what it was, Judah? Ironwood Home Inspection. He legitimately had to shadow his competition. His competition had to train him
That's exactly right.
for him to get in the game, and now he's competing with the people that trained him.
And that's only a change from a couple of years ago at the state level.
That's crazy right
Talk
there.
up,
That's
talk up-
bananas to me.
Talk,
At
talk
the same
about.
time, why should that make everybody so nervous? If you are a good relationship person and a good professional at what you do, you teaching somebody else how to do it who may not be able. How many realtors do I talk to who've had a license for a year, 2 years, and they've never closed a transaction? There's just somebody with a license. They're not your competition.
Yeah, but we're between 30 to 40% down in sales. And eventually there's going to be relationship pressures on that, because I want to open up what Jerry does here every day. And the state says, oh, by the way, you need to shadow with Jerry for 6 months.
Oh,
to
here's
learn
a
how to-
perfect example of
Learn
this.
how to do that.
I got a
I
perfect
can hand
example
you.
of this.
You know why coaching to me is
I
just
don't see that.
is kind of a like. There's a lot to be gained from any kind of professional coaching. I think that everybody should have a mentor.
Oh, yeah.
In order to grow, you've got to go out and see this stuff. But you can sit there and there's people who pay thousands of dollars a month for advice that they don't even take. Like, you
Brother.
can sit there and receive, you can download all this stuff onto somebody, and if they don't go out there and do it, then what does it matter? These people aren't your competition. They're just people with licenses.
So Yona, one of the
Boom.
things
Well said,
Yona and I
Scott.
are really, really good
That's
at
damn
is
good.
coaching and mentoring. And we coach and mentor a lot of people. And you're 1,000% right. Talk about coaching, how frustrating you get. Actually, Jerry gets frustrated for how
No.
many-
I think
504 or 5 shows.
Dude, it's been a dream working with you. This is the thing that frustrates me the most, okay? You wanna hear the things
Sometimes,
that,
yeah, I don't-
not with you. This is not literally nothing
No,
with you.
sometimes it takes me a while to listen to you. The fairness,
Here's
fair
a
is
perfect
fair.
example. You know how many times people have come to Judah and I,
Yeah,
legitimately, and I love the guy.
Yeah.
Coy Barefoot did this with Judah and I.
yeah.
Came in off the street, unannounced, walked in the door. Judah, you remember this? Walked in the door. Literally was like, what specs you got here? What kind of cameras are you using? What's the software here? What's the plugs and the cords you're using? What's the infrastructure? What's the computer? How does this connect to this? Look, Notepad. He's first talking with J-Dubs. I'm coming in after. I'm not there for the initial meeting. He's offering a little insight. I walk in, I'm like,
But was it even a meeting?
it wasn't even a meeting, dude. It was an unannounced visit off the street in the middle of the day. And I literally come in and I'm like, stop,
You need to leave.
enough,
You need to leave.
you need to go.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's taken me years to accumulate this.
And then
I've failed so many effing times
Sure.
to get to this point. And if anyone thinks that, just give us that advice for free,
Yeah.
or just give it to us,
But we're talking two different things.
and
here.
this kind of burns me up right
Yeah,
now.
I can-
Steve
I can-
texted me the other day. Steve's coming on the show on Thursday. Steve Harvey, right? He goes, I'm going to open up first free coffee shop in Hollymead Town Center. The first cup of coffee. The concept is pretty good. He's literally made his politics announcement for his delegate run. He has 2 signs behind his back. First sign is, I'm running for delegate. Second sign, here's my new business.
There you go.
I'm going to depict my new business while I'm running for politics, because that's a great idea. Launching a startup when you're running for House of Delegates, that's a topic for another day. Then he says, I'm going to launch a video podcasting studio in the coffee shop. Launching a video podcasting studio in a coffee shop that's loud, that's a good idea. That's a topic for another day. Then he comes to me and goes, by the way, I'm doing this video podcasting network. He's going to be here on Thursday, and I can assure you on Thursday he's going to have a notepad trying to get details of what we're doing here. Okay? And that's the kind of stuff that if you want, very few things irritate me, but that's the kind of stuff that irritates me.
Well, it's just disrespectful. You should
Yeah.
walk in and say, hey, look, this is what I want to do. What do you think? And then the decision is yours if you wish to help him or not to
Right.
help him. But it was, you should always ask. Look, it's a little bit of an entitlement thing that goes on in this world. But back to the home inspector and back to the different stuff. It's part of the business. Yona and I coach and mentor a lot of people all the time. Back to your comment, it is frustrating, right? This isn't, look, guys, my son-in-law sitting over there damn well knows I'm not an educated man. It's difficult for
I
me
don't
to.
like when he
no,
says that.
but it's true.
Yeah.
But it's true. I don't.
You got a PhD in street smarts that would dominate anyone's PhD in academics.
And thank you for saying that.
It's true.
But my point I'm trying to get at is that this isn't what I'm coaching and mentoring, folks. It's not difficult. This is not difficult. If I can do it, anybody can do it, right? You just got to want to do it. But you're 100% right. You go to these conventions, you go to these things. We were in Virginia Beach for 2 days. Took some great notes, and I'm part of the problem. Took some great notes. I'm going to implement 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I get to just one, that's a win, right?
Everybody's part. Unless the lack of implementation, the lack of the is what holds most people back from success.
Well, actually, that's not true. Well, you know what holds people back mostly from success?
For me, it's being
no,
mentally
most people.
handicapped.
Most people. Fear.
Well, okay.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of taking the risk. Fear of doing
It cripples people.
I lost $17 million. Well, Yona and I lost $17 million, and I ran for elected office in 2009 in the middle of that, which tells you how smart I am. Right? In the middle of losing everything we had, we're jarheads.
You're fearless.
We don't.
We talked about this yesterday.
No, I just don't think we just go forward.
One of Michael Jordan's
Oh yeah.
biggest talents, it's yes, the hard work, it's yes, the God-given ability, but it's his willingness to take the
Fail.
last shot because he doesn't give an F if he fails.
Yep.
I don't give an F if I fail. He doesn't give an F if he fails. I bet you don't give an F if you fail.
No.
I want to fail fast and I want to learn quick from
Well,
it. I don't want that fail to be
there is
forever.
of all the things that have ever been said on this show, there was never any truer statement than that.
Yeah.
If you're going to fail, do it fast.
I'd rather fail fast than have something mediocre last forever.
Yeah, and that's people get tied to their idea of greatness, and their ideas are I'm so smart. Well, if you're so smart, then how come your idea isn't working? Your startup is 10 years old now, bro. Let's move
It's
on.
not a startup
Hey, that
anymore.
rap career, got my guy. Like, come on.
Quick question for you two.
God, I love Scott so much.
What's different now than it was 5 years ago? Your 5 years ago self, does it see you where you
My
are
7-month-old hasn't slept in 7. No. I know what you're going. Scott, why don't you hit this one first?
here? Yeah. So 5 years ago, is this where you thought you were going to be?
Yes.
Really? Exact same spot.
More or less. I mean,
And put
the whole
where you would be in perspective. What that means.
No ups and downs.
Ups and downs are part of it.
So the market's more challenging than I expected, but I've got my own shop. I've got people that I'm helping grow.
Recovered from a pretty personal thing.
I almost fucking died.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. So last year was weird, but at the same time, yeah, I think overall, yes.
I gotta get up every morning and inject my stomach.
When I saw this business, when I saw what I wanted to build, am I there? Am I where I want to be? No, but am I? Is my 5-year plan on track? We're doing pretty good.
I think you're doing great, man.
I guarantee
You're doing great. He was
you're doing
number
great.
2 in production,
Nationwide.
volume, and
Units for the company.
units in Ross Mortgage, the
Nationwide.
company nationwide.
Nationwide.
This dude right here, Ross Mortgage and Scotty Moe. Okay.
How about you?
I say this all the time. I feel zero guilt for being successful.
Yeah.
I don't have
I don't
an
think that's-
iota of guilt for being successful. And people like to throw shade at folks that have been successful. I've been in business for myself for 15 years. I've taken one vacation in 15 years, our honeymoon, and came back knocked up
So let me actually.
with number one. Okay,
We
legitimate.
got the F-bomb and.
That's a source in Maui. We came back knocked up from Maui on our honeymoon, and that opened up another Pandora's box. Any parent watching this program knows what I mean. I feel no guilt for being successful because the opportunity cost of this success has been greater than anyone could potentially realize. And on top of that, Scotty and you could speak to this. The level of risk that I took in the first 15 years of being self-employed would literally lead a lot of people to probably suicidal thoughts. Where you're talking 2 or 3 decisions early in this 15-year career could literally, if they didn't go the right way, could crush everything.
I never worked for anybody but myself since I got out of the Marine Corps in 1986. Let me try the question a different way. Is your definition of success different now than it was 5 years ago?
Yeah, my definition of success now is being able to, and I did it today, and I think Dean is watching the program right now. I took my kid
There you
to
go.
squash camp this morning, was able with my schedule to do
There
it.
you go.
Got there 20 minutes before the camp started, was able to hit some balls with him, watch my kid who's full of moxie and chutzpah and confidence and can talk to anyone, go up to a 14-year-old girl, tap her on the shoulder, he's 5, and said, "Hey, my name is Trey. I like to play squash. Will you hit balls with me?"
And can I
that
have your
literally-
phone number?
Dude, that literally right there, watching him go do that made my heart melt.
There you go.
Like, I literally watched my 5-year-old go to a 13-year-old, tap her on the shoulder and say, "Can we do this?" And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, this kid is amazing. It legitimately, and it's making me get emotional right now, okay? Like, watching my kid do that is more than any deal that I ever closed right now.
Never about the money. It's always about that.
Yeah.
There's
How
a
about you?
fantastic video of this 11-ish-year-old kid at the U.S. Open this past week with this dude Mandola Golf, he's got a great Instagram, and he's like you smack it. He's this Latin guy. He's got an accent, and the kid sees him. He's like, oh my God. I was hoping I'd run into you, and there's this just very genuine, very mature back and forth from this kid, and it's the kind of thing when you see you really relate to. You
Yeah.
hope that's what your kids develop.
Exactly.
Definition
Love
of
you,
success
Scott Morris.
now versus 5 years ago. The same, different.
Definition of success?
Yeah. What do you define as success now?
I think that's
versus 5
that
years
should be
ago?
ever evolving for everyone. What you want today, if you want the same things 5 years from now that you wanted today, you probably need to
Relook at your
reeval-
plan.
Yeah. I mean, hey, the level of success Scott sought when he was swinging hammers for Keith is a little bit different than the level of success that he has now.
Is there any level
Can
to
I
this?
get drunk during lunch was way up on the totem pole then.
Yeah. Did
That's
I have,
called priorities.
for
Well,
me,
all right, all
for
right.
me at the same time, it was like the level of success for me was like, do I got the $30 to go to happy hour and close the bar down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Well,
was the success
The
for me.
world
then.
is a little
So
Yeah,
th-
I was
thank-
like,
My
can I
world's
go
a little
talk to her at the bar? I need this to be able to make it to last call.
So thank you for
That's changed.
Thank you for letting me do this with you guys, because as the senior statesman
Oh,
here,
we love you,
the
dude.
elder here,
You know that. I sincerely do.
and I love you both very much. So, it's amazing how it changes over as your life goes.
For sure.
To sit here on a live show,
And you just saw your boys get emotional here.
I very much so.
And by my boys, I mean me and Scott,
yeah.
40-plus-year-old dudes.
Well, I'm 20 years older,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Still your boys, right?
Yeah, still the boys. To sit here and have my 2.5-year-old granddaughter live sit on my lap, that's a definition of success, right? Pretty much isn't going to get much better than that. But thank you for allowing me to do that, because I've often wanted to do that, and this just popped into my head. So what is our definition of success? And anybody who's watching or listening, take a look at what your definition of success is, and kind of relook at it and see how life is pushing you in a different direction. But don't let the fear of success, whatever that looks like to you, stop you from moving forward.
Or don't let the fear of failure on the
There you
path
go.
there be your decider. Like I can't do this because if you you can play the what if game until all of a sudden the time that you had to accomplish whatever the task was has come and gone.
We were talking about
The show's been fantastic.
Dave Norris,
Yeah.
Bellamy Brown,
Both watching.
right? Talk about people that did not have fear of failure.
Yeah.
They also didn't have fear of success, because that's the other thing people fear. People actually fear, holy shit, I'm going to be successful. What does that actually mean?
Totally.
Right on that? So there's two sides of that. But we just talked about two guys, two people. One is a brother from another mother, fellow Marine. The other one, I love him to death, Dave Norris. They were not afraid to put their hat in the ring or stand in that ring and take their slings and arrows. I know them well enough to know that to even have to say this. But I guarantee I'm going to see both of them at the city council meetings, county meetings. They're going to be engaged. Their voices are going to be heard, and they're going to be influential in decisions moving forward. They're just not going to be sitting at the dais. That's how that's going to go.
Well said. The show is dynamic. Guys, just take a moment and see what you just saw there from Scott Morris with the genuine emotion. That's the kind of guy.
And from you.
And thank you. That's the kind of guy you want going to bat for you in a market that's difficult and challenging. Keith's the same way. You're looking at two dudes right there that would do anything for people.
I just didn't want to cry, so the three of us were crying.
I literally mean it sincerely. I've seen it firsthand with Scott and Keith. Okay, it's firsthand. Judah Wickhauer deserves props. Vienna, absolutely adorable. Made the show adorable. She gets some props. Your family's beautiful. Harry's in the house. Love this guy. This is Real Talk with Keith Smith. It's archived at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Check out the Partners tab, and it's the supply chain of people you can trust. Here comes Harry and Vienna. If you want to get them on a one-shot over there.
Go on over here.
Oh, Vienna has got
You
it. She
wanna
wants
see
to
the
see the
doggy?
doggy. She wants to
The
see Liza
doggy?
right there, the I Love Seville mascot.
We have to get her to say dog, because she's like so Long Island. She goes dog.
I like it.
Coffee.
I like it. I can relate. That's the program, maybe my favorite one we have ever done. The I Love Seville show is up in approximately 50 minutes. Thank you kindly for joining us. Take care, everyone. That was awesome, fellas.
All right.
You got lunch.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, I know you're.
I'm trying to figure out.